The second set of the day will be played on Akilon Waste. Spawning up in the top left-hand corner as the yellow Terran from KT Rolster. With one kill, his name is Flash.
His opponent has to deny Flash's second kill before he gains the momentum in today's match. Spawning as blue Terran on the right bottom side. His name is Taeja, playing for EGTL.
Indeed, Taeja. I'm a fan of this player. I'm not afraid to say it. But Flash is also a very good player. It could really go either way, I feel here. There's not a clear favorite, I want to say. Speaking
of very good, only in Pro League he has a 71.9% win rate, and he has 70.1% overall, including the individual leagues. In Starcraft2, Flash does lead against Taeja 1-0. That was back in January 16th on Neo Planet S.
So a while ago, that's the last time they had their televised match. I hear they play a lot together in practice games, though.
Practice games, yes, they do play a lot, but they're not going to show everything. That's the key point.
Yeah, though they can't. They simply can't.
Flash, of course, #1 in Pro League now with one more win today. 28 wins and 16 losses. Does leave Rain behind at 27 wins and 12 losses.
Yeah. But it's always going back and forth between a lot of these players.
Especially during Winners League.
Yeah, Winners League is when things are very volatile. And look at this, man. We have a lot of foreigners in the studio today.
Yeah, well, it seems like there are a lot of fans cheering for EGTL, too.
Yeah, EGTL, of course, one of the most popular teams here. They are like the fan favorites, especially when it comes to the foreigners.
Fan favorites, but they have the hardest work in Pro League now. Since they're in last place, the league is coming to close, and they need to go on a huge winning streak just to make it into playoffs.
So they need something needs to happen, basically, and it's going to be hard for them to make that happen. But a good way to kind of keep into the scene here is if Taeja beats Flash here today. Flash, he has the momentum, he has the ability to go for the all-kill if he takes that Taeja, I feel, here today. Alright, so this SCV is going to be denied scouting pretty much from both sides here. We have essentially identical builds for the most part here. Gas count, mineral count, unit count, everything's very similar at this point.
Now, since we have some little downtime in the game, quote-unquote, let's talk about the question of the day. First, Pro League Starcraft2 Protoss winner was best. There was a Terran player that I didn't see. I believe it was Reality, but I'm not exactly sure from top of my head. But who was the first Zerg player in Starcraft2 to win a match in Pro League?
That's a good question.
That was back in Hybrid Pro League, by the way.
Hybrid Pro League. I don't know. I want to say like Hyva, but I'm not sure. It's probably not right at all.
It was a long time ago.
It was.
And by long time ago, I mean only a year or like 8 months.
Well, in esport years, they're like dog years, so that's basically 7 years ago.
Yeah.
That when we had the hybrid season, guys, so.
Both players opening up very similar right now, Expansion and the Factory with Reactor. Actually, Flash is like, well...
He's like, you know what? Hold on, guys. Let me get a little swig of my Picari sweat here. Let me get a little liquid courage. Even the KT coach laughing at that.
Even the coach is like, hey, Flash, you're playing the game right now. You might want to focus instead of drinking your favorite drink out there.
He may be just getting a little bit too cocky here, but looking over all at the tech paths here, we have the Starport going up for Taeja slightly earlier than Flash. He should be getting his Starport shortly after as well, though, here. There's that Starport. Already has that reactor down. Hellions going out for both players here. The command center just about done for Flash as well. Behind this, everything is still completely mirrored, I want to say, at this point, except for maybe a little bit of gas timings here, but still very close. Look at this, though. Armory on the way for Flash, and 2 Widow Mines on the way for Taeja here.
Seems like this time around, Flash wants to go, Taeja wants to go for a slightly faster pressure play compared to his opponent, Flash. Remember, in the previous game, Flash attacked his opponent first, and that's the reason why he gained the upper hand in the drop wars. Now Taeja, he wants to gain the upper hand with the early Widow Mine drops, but is it going to work out against Flash?
Gonna have to find out. Flash getting Widow Mines of his own here. Taeja looking like he has a pretty solid defense at that natural ramp here. We do have the medevacs almost complete for both players. Build's still looking pretty close between both players. They're going to go for an aggressive timing with the medevacs and with some drops in the next minute or two in the game. And already Taeja moving out here with 2 of those Widow Mines and that medevac.
I feel like only using 2 Widow Mines is okay, but he could have actually added in 2 more Hellions for the the little buff, because those Widow Mines cannot one-shot the SCVs. You need the Hellions to actually finish them off.
That's true, and you know what, you can also add in, a few units like the Marines or the Hellions, that kind of help tank a little bit of damage while the Widow Mines burrow and try to do some damage. Now Taeja going for that armory there, and here we go. Taeja dropping 1 Widow Mine at the natural here. We're not seeing Flash pull any of his workers off, knowing that he's only going to lose 1 worker there. Second Widow Mine going into the main now. We have 2 Hellbats here. Looking to do some damage, and just barely misses off. Gets 1 kill there as well, and this drop here. Oh, looks like that one actually got a lot of workers there, up to 4 SCVs killed. Flash getting the better trade here. Taeja will be able to take out these units over here, but 2 of the 5 SCVs going in Flash's favor.
Remember, the difference was Taeja only dropped a single Widow Mine at each base, which means that the Widow Mine only gets 1 SCV kill, gets the splash damage, but does not finish off the SCVs without the Hellions. Flash had the Hellions. He was able to kill those SCVs that got splash shotted from the Widow Mines.
Something really interesting to look at here. Flash doesn't really have any defense at his main base. Taeja up in supply by almost 10. Flash getting a 3rd command center behind this, as well as a Raven. He may be a little bit weak to this attacker, the Hellions. Hellions moving forward. They're going to go straight for the mineral line here. This could put the game into Taeja's favor here. Those SCVs, they cannot line up here. And, looks like some of them getting roasted, taken out there. There's a lot really low on damage. There's a lot of economic damage that Taeja is doing to Flash, but he will be able to stabilize.
And do remember, Flash has a double drop going inside Taeja's main base and the natural at the same time.
It's going to be a big turning point for Flash here. He's trying to do a lot of damage as well. Medevac's lifting those Hellbats up, moving into the main now. Same with Taeja. He's using a Viking, and that's going to be taken out. This Marine will eventually fall to these angry SCVs as well. Looking at the worker count, Taeja's ahead though. He's up by a good amount here, about 6 or so. So he got the better trade in the long run against his opponent Flash.
He did get a better trade, but do remember, Flash is getting a 3rd command center right now. He's going for the constant Hellbat drops, and Taeja, he still needs to focus. This is a problem with the Hellbat drops. The 1st and the 2nd isn't the end of these Hellbat drops.
This could be a huge turning point now. These Hellbats are going to do a good amount of damage here. Taeja moving in, he's going to be able to force them away. We have a random medevac from Flash in the main base of Taeja. SCV supplies have now equalized out for the most part. Taeja's still slightly ahead. He's getting a command center of his own. It's slightly behind. And we have the medevac energy upgrade being researched by Taeja here. I think he just wanted to trick out Flash there, though.
So he cancels it right away as soon as the medevac leaves his main base. Now, if you look at the overall situation right now, both players kind of have stabilized that Banshee. Well, goodbye.
It's going to do no damage there. There's a reason why you don't get Banshees anymore in TvT.
That's the reason why everyone goes for Hellbats.
The Hellbats, the Widow Mines, they're just better harassment choices, at least at this point in the metagame.
And also, if you can use a boost micro ability really well and learn to, lift up the Hellbats into the medevacs at the right timing, then you could do a lot more damage than the Banshees.
That's true. And you know what? Hellbats, they don't cost any gas at all. Widow Mines only cost 25 per piece as opposed to the 100 for the Banshee. We got a lot of Hellions out here and Hellbats for Taeja. He's moving into a mech composition. Same with Flash. Supplies looking very even right now. This Hellbat drop coming in from Flash here. He's going to try to do some damage. Taeja already splitting some units over to his main base. He's going to be completely ready for this.
Well,
maybe not.
Oh, maybe not. He didn't notice it at the last second. The Hellbats dropped inside the natural and the main at the same time once again.
They're doing a good amount of damage this time around, getting a lot of these SCVs very low on health. 38 to 44 Flash, taking that supply lead in the SCV count at least. And
Taeja not paying attention. He could have taken out the Hellbat much earlier. Instead, only one Hellion was shooting at the Hellbat. So now, the previous drops by Flash, he was trying to equalize the damage that Taeja dealt him.
He's ahead now.
That drop was trying to gain some economic advantage, and he certainly got it by killing a lot more SCVs than Taeja should have allowed Flash to.
And currently the supply count dead even between these guys. Interestingly, I still have a Banshee from Taeja. He doesn't, I guess he wants to use that a little bit later on in the game, thinking later on in the future. The +2 attack though for Flash just about complete here. Taeja's +2 only about halfway done. This could lead to some type of vulnerability in his defenses against Flash should he opt to push out.
And look at this, double drops going once again. Flash just loves to go for the Hellbat drops because he knows that he could gain so much economic advantage, and he knows that his opponent cannot focus if there's multiple Hellbats inside the main base.
Yeah, the Hellbat drop's certainly annoying to deal with. You really have to have full concentration if you want to defend against those. One of those Hellions getting taken out there. +3 on the way for Flash now as well. We have some missile turrets on the way for Taeja though, so looking like he wants to defend against these drops a little bit more. I like this from Flash. He's using a lot of these Vikings to try to make a path for his medevac, but the problem is Viking count for Taeja is pretty solid right now, and he's also got that Raven for the point defense drone defense.
Flash really needs to be careful with the Vikings because if he loses that wars, then he could allow his opponent to come back into the game, but Hellbat drops at the third once again.
I think they're going to be at the third, natural, and main base here, potentially. We have a lot of units in the main base getting ready to defend against this drop. It doesn't look like it'll do too much at this point, but, you know, can still pull off a little bit of damage. This Banshee now actually proving pretty useful, doing good DPS against that Hellbat drop.
I mean, here's the thing, if you see the multiple Hellbats, and if you're a Terran player who allows for the multiple Hellbat drops inside the main base, then if this was a ladder game, Taeja would have GG'd out because he was so annoyed by those Hellbats.
Alright, so the tanks moving in here. They have sieged up the positioning. Good for Flash.
But he doesn't have any anti-air against the Banshee.
And that may not even matter as those Hellbats are just running to that third base. The SCV count now greatly in Flash's favor here. 67 to 44, so as time goes on, he's going to take a very large supply lead here. Already up 120, 130 to 106 or so from Taeja.
Yeah, well, that Banshee actually saved Taeja for now because Flash, he was forced to pull back with these siege tanks on the high ground, which means that Taeja, he has a little more breathing room right now before Flash gets enough Vikings to push out on the map.
It's true. He's got that good breathing room. Absolutely true. Taeja trying to get back into this economic game. He's building more SCVs, dropping mules when he can. He doesn't want to waste too much scans, but he still has to keep a few in reserve. Very important to know the positioning of your opponent in TvT because of those tank lines.
And do remember, while Taeja might be down in supply count, you know, 30 of the supply does in Flash's army isn't the SCVs right now compared to Taeja. So when it comes to the army count, I have to say Taeja is slightly ahead, but Flash is slowly going far ahead compared to his opponent.
And we also see a few Thors here being added into the army mix for Flash. Looks like he wants to get a little bit of anti-air to kind of help deal with those Vikings, because the Viking advantage still, I believe, goes slightly to Taeja at this point. We're seeing Taeja going for a fourth base. Flash's fourth base looks like it's already completed, and it's just at that fourth position now. It'll be online soon enough. We already have the SCVs moving over there, adding on the refineries and stuff. So Flash continuing with an economic advantage. He's up about 30 supply right now. Very significant number, actually. And when he maxes out, he may just decide to move across the map and try to do a timing against Taeja.
And do remember, he is slightly ahead when it comes to the upgrades compared to his opponent. His +3 is already done, going for the armor upgrades now, while Flash, Taeja, he's only just finishing up his +3, and Flash, he's gonna go for the Hellbat drops once again.
And it seems to be a reoccurring theme here from Flash, saying, all right, well, Hellbats are always going to do some type of damage, so I'm just going to keep dropping with them. Taeja's defense against them has been okay. It could be a little bit better. He's clearly lost a lot of SCVs. The Vikings here, they could be changing this a lot here if they can take out the medevac. Yes, they do get the medevac before those units are able to go outside of it. But now Flash moving in towards that fourth base there. Taeja completely out of position against this well, and Flash is just walking straight into the natural of his opponent almost at this point.
Yeah, and Flash has a slightly better positioning with a lot more siege tanks. Taeja does have the medevac for the drops, but it's not going to do much. However, he does draw some nice siege fire, the splash damage onto Flash's own siege tanks.
Notice how Flash doesn't have all of his siege tanks sieged up. Well, he's going ahead and do that now, but he was well defended against the drops here. The positioning from Flash looking very key right now. He's able to start sieging in the natural and main, really, you know, kind of preventing Taeja from moving exactly where he wants to in his main base. If this attack stays here for a long time, and I can't see Taeja really crawling back into this game without some type of very solid maneuver or turnaround.
So the immediate response should be, for Taeja, immediate question that he has in mind right now is, how do I take the fourth base again? You know, do I actually clean up the siege line at the bottom of the ramp and trying to go for it, or do I take another base on another part of the map and can I fortify that position? Taeja needs to decide that right now because his opponent is getting up to 4 command centers. His 4th base is already up and online. I did see another command center by him, if not mistaken. And Taeja, he needs to get a 4th base economy to catch up in the gas wars.
He needs to get that 4th base. He needs to somehow get rid of this annoying tank line. Oh no! Terrible for Taeja, losing 2 medevacs full of Hellbats here. Things starting to look grim for our EGTL player. 160 to a maxed out Terran army. Flash, he still has a SCV advantage, probably not too much anymore. The air advantage Taeja at least still has here, but the Raven has been taken out here. The Thor will be able to do work on these Vikings, especially if they're spread out here. And Flash, all he has to do is trade evenly now, and he's just going to continue ahead in this game because his opponent does not have that critical 4th base.
I don't even know trade evenly is the word right now because all Flash has to do is sit in this position and make sure his opponent Taeja does not take another base.
Taeja's starting to do some good damage here. He's slowly been clearing out this tank line, moving
really
a
nice
lot of those
micro
units.
by Taeja, I have to say, using that 1 siege tank to draw the splash damage onto Flash's own tanks. A really nice maneuver, bro. This drop, well, it is going to get inside the 3rd base. It does drop the 4 Hellbats, but is it justified for losing all those Hellbats and the medevac?
Well, he's been able to take out a lot of SCVs here. Flash, he does have a good amount of resources in bank here, a little bit under 700 or so. Taeja still hasn't taken his 4th base. Looks like he's going to be able to do that soon. These Hellbats will get taken out. I don't know where that command center is going. Okay, well, that's where it's going. It's going over there. I think he's trying to hide a base against his opponent here.
He knows that taking the right bottom position and the 1 o'clock position is almost impossible at this point. So this is going to be a little bit of a last-ditch effort trying to take a 4th base while trying to max out and push out. But that's a long, that's like, you know, way ahead into the future because right now Taeja doesn't have the economy. He's only sitting on 176 supply while his opponent is already maxed out.
And let's not forget, Flash has been maxed out for a long time here, so you know, he's just able to accumulate more resources, get more expansions up at the same time. He still is preventing Taeja from taking that 4th base that he should have had, you know, like 10 minutes ago at this point.
Yeah, he just didn't have the vision to block off the siege tanks from getting into the area, and Taeja, his response wasn't quick enough. Now he does scout the command center at the 7 o'clock base.
And at the same time, Taeja moving out here is going to be able to clear out this tank line from the looks of things with those siege tanks. Still has a good amount. Flash giving a pretty solid trade though. He's able to at least force his opponent to lose a lot of units in that engagement.
And I have to say, that's all Flash needed because right now he's getting a free shot on the 4 command center. He's going for the drop inside the main base once again. And Taeja, he doesn't have any response to this.
Well, he unfortunately doesn't. He can try to take his 4th base in his main again, but this command center is actually starting to get a little low on health. 3 medevacs with units inside of it. It's going to end up being very dangerous for Taeja right here. There's a lot of tanks that are on the high ground there. Taeja moving in though, good positioning. He's able to use some nice micro there, lifting off some units. He will be able to deal with this drop.
But Flash is getting a better trade because remember, Flash has a 4-base economy. He has a 5th command center on the left bottom side. So losing those few units, he could replenish them easily. Taeja losing 1 siege tank matters a lot to him. Look at the economy right now. Right now, Flash, he's trying to max out once again, but he has a lot of gas saved up with the minerals. He's going to stockpile on them pretty soon. Taeja, he's barely taking the 4th base right now.
He's, like you said, barely taking that 4th base. The 5th base for Flash already online as well. He's been maxed out for so long. I still have to commend Taeja though, because when I saw the units lost tab, it was almost dead even. And considering that Taeja's been behind for most of this game, it's very impressive from him.
Well, Taeja, he needs something other than even trade. That's why he's going for the push right now.
He's going to be able to get an excellent trade here, killing off all of these units, barely losing anything. The supplies almost equalized at this point. Actually, they're pretty much equal right now. Taeja taking the supply lead here.
This was a mistake by Flash because he set up a nice siege line outside of Taeja's main base, but the line was too huge and there was a small gap in the middle. That's the reason why Taeja went for the drop, went for the push, and Flash, he needs to give up that position right now. He needs to reform his siege tank line in the middle of the map.
I just feel like, except for the positioning that Flash had earlier on in the game at that 4th base of Taeja, our EGTL player has been getting the better end of pretty much every single engagement this game. Flash, though, he's certainly been doing better when it comes to doing the drop harassments. He's gotten so many more kills to his counterpart, Taeja.
Well, Taeja's going to go for the triple medevac drop once again into the third base, but seems like he knew about the turrets and pulled out at the last second. Going for the drop at this point is not going to be a great decision for him, especially with the siege tanks mixed in.
Siege tank's going to really make it harder for those drops to be dealt with, essentially.
Dealt with, but, you know...
But if he can actually drop, that's the thing.
That's what I'm saying. Well, Taeja, he's going for the left bottom position once again, trying to see if he can secure the 5th base.
If he can force Flash back here, that'd be great. It can mean, you know, you can get that command center lifted up. Positioning, though, already key for Flash. He's got those tanks sieged up here. Taeja's going to be forced back at this point. He's looking for somewhere where he can do some damage. It's getting a little bit hard, though. We have 2 additional starports on the way, though, for Taeja.
But we already have the battlecruisers out on the way for Flash.
Flash already going into the BC transition here, adding in a lot of Vikings to this army composition as well. So we are going to be seeing that Sky Terran transition.
Yeah, well, Flash losing a couple of siege tanks once again, and Taeja having a nice lift and drop micro against these siege tanks.
No, I actually, you know, we don't really see Terran players do that kind of thing too often, but at the same time, we have a Hellbat drop from Flash at the third base of Taeja, continuing to do so much damage here. I would like to see more of a turret line from Taeja. Flash killing up to 90 workers.
And here comes the battlecruisers. Where's the anti-air for Taeja?
I don't know. We have those additional starports, but I don't think they've been able to really come out yet. There's already 5 battlecruisers out for Flash here. Remember, those tanks and Hellbats, they can't do any damage against air units. They don't attack them. The Vikings doing a good job killing off 1 of those battlecruisers there. But the Viking count's still very similar here. I think Flash, he is ahead now, 14-4. This could be the killing blow for Taeja.
Yeah, and with the air superiority for Flash, remember when we said previously, Taeja still had the air advantage, but now it's a different story. Flash has a nice siege tank line. He has the battlecruiser advantage against his opponent. He has a Viking advantage.
With Taeja losing that Thor right there, I mean, the best thing he can really do is just move forward and try to attack his opponent's army here, but he's not even getting an amazing trade here. Taeja looking very flustered that he couldn't deal with the battlecruisers fast enough. This is what happens when you let your opponent get the economic advantage. And TvT, Flash dropping down the man mule, GG from Taeja, and KT's Flash takes game number 2.
Solid gameplay by Flash. Taeja also did an amazing job defending against the Hellbats. Actually, both players did an amazing job, and they dragged it into the mid-game, but Flash had a better decision as soon as he saw the 4 command center, and as soon as he saw the siege tanks were out of position. He risked it, he went for it, sieged up, and denied Taeja from getting the 4th base.
And by taking those small advantages from the early to mid-game, he was able to bring that into a late-game, large advantage from his side, immediately dropping down those starports as soon as he had the economy and the units behind them to support that. And with those 5 battlecruisers and the Viking support, there's nothing that Taeja could have done. So now we're going to have to figure out the next card from Evil Genius's Team Liquid's deck here. They've already lost Alive and Taeja, 2 Terran players. So it's looking like, I'm thinking that it's got to be Hero or Jadon that gets sent out next against Flash.
Well, I would have to say it's most likely going to be Jadon because the map is Korhal Floating Islands. And the next map is going to be Naro Station after Korhal Floating Islands. So it's most likely we're going to see a Zerg player being sent out unless they're going to send out 2 Protoss players.
We could also actually see Oz here. That's another potential choice.
Is it going to be another Lee Sung-lok? No, it's going to be Hero.
Hero getting sent out. He's proven himself in high-pressure situations in the past. So can he do it today against Flash? We're going to find out after this commercial break.